I'm finally able to go off on my own and leave my parents and siblings behind. I was the firstborn, and my parents, they're not very wealthy, so I was the one who had to keep looking after the children that they kept having. Guys, my parents had 7 kids, and now, just when I tell them that I'm gonna be moving out, they get pregnant again, number 8, and they tell me, oh no, you can't move out, we still need your help, so you know what? I told them off. I gave them a piece of my mind. My parents are not speaking to me right now, because I got mad at them for trying to keep me chained. I don't fully blame them, and I feel bad about it. But I also think that if I give up now, I will never get the chance to make myself happy. Currently, every day feels like I'm forcing myself to do something for the sake of others, because I'm tied down by a huge responsibility. Since I don't really know who to ask about this, I came here hoping that you guys would have some answers in the very least. Maybe some advice. My name is James, I'm 28, and I live with my parents and my 5 siblings, all sisters. Molly, she's 20, twins Lana, Allie, 16, Noelle, 14, and Liz, 10. Yes, that's quite a number of siblings to have, and no. I don't know how my parents kept having kids or why. Maybe they wanted to raise the population bar of the country by themselves. Believe me, I love all my sisters, I do. But I wish my parents would have, stopped at one point. My parents, Lily, Harold, they got married pretty quickly and had me soon after. They did tell me both of them always wanted a bunch of children, so I guess that kind of explains it. What I know is that they had no trouble while having me, but after me it took them a lot of time to have Molly. Almost 8 years in fact, and they have never spoken in detail about this, but I always find it weird that they started having complications after me. Sometimes I do think about how life would be if I were a twin, or if I had a sibling close to my age. Maybe I would be happier, but being fully honest, I believe as long as I would be the oldest sibling, I would always be in this position. Anyways, my parents had me, and then after a while they started having my sisters, and they just never stopped. The hilarious yet depressing thing about this is that my parents did not even used to earn much. See, they worked below average jobs, so you would think that they would have had a plan and think maybe 3 kids are hard enough to raise with a below average salary, right? Well, they had 2 of my sisters, and though thought, why not have a little more? And even after 4, they said, why not have even 1 more? It's almost hilarious that one of the biggest yearly spendings that we have is because of birthdays, as my parents refuse to have several small ones or 1 big one. They want a luxurious event on everyone's birthday, yet this again is a complaint. But I also understand it because I also want all of my sisters to have a great birthday experience and grow up without any financial worry. My parents raised me pretty cheap, but I didn't care. I would much rather that they spend money on my sisters. I was always a very understanding child, but I would be lying if I said I was not a bit jealous, seeing how differently they treated my sisters than me. I was always made to work hard and help them in every field, and not spend money on me was not even a big issue at the time for me. They just never showed me much love or even care about me, while they treated all of my sisters like a gift from God. I understood that maybe they had a different way of raising me as I was a boy, but it didn't feel like a gender difference. Ever since I was 16, I started working a part-time job as my father demanded that I support him with as much as I could, or I would not be able to go to college. My parents don't hate me, they care about me, but just not as much. And even though they need me, they never act like they appreciate my help. Well, I wish I had known this when I first started working, because I worked way too hard to support them. But they were never happy or satisfied, and I have to say that I'm grateful that I got to go to college. And even while studying in college, I worked 2 part-time jobs to support myself and help out my parents. After graduation, I landed a good job, and I've been working there ever since. I've reached a quite good position and earning well. The thing is, I'm extremely unhappy because I have no time for myself. Let me explain. After about 2 years of working hard, I started earning a good amount. My parents decided that they didn't need to work so hard to sustain our lifestyle. Well, after that, they left their jobs and got part-time jobs, and at this point they barely worked. So most of the expenses of the house, my siblings, and even my parents is on my head. At first, this was not much of a problem because I didn't mind taking on the responsibility of everyone as I loved them. But now it's become a little too much. As I've already mentioned, when it comes to my sisters, my parents refuse to be cheap. They want all of them to have the best things and a very happy, comfortable life. But it's extremely tough to foot the bill for everyone. Believe me, I try very hard. My parents never understand when I try to ask them to use less money, and my sister refuses to change anything or settle for anything less. My younger sister, Liz, is the only one who genuinely understands my problems and supports me. She's so cute because she tries to save up money every month and give it back to me, believing that it'll actually help me. Guys, don't worry. I save it up and gift it to her in a few months. Believe me, I love my sisters and I want them to have the best life. But them spending like we have a cash cow makes my life very, very hard because of the responsibility I've had since I finished college. I've never had much of a life. My life has only revolved around my family and work and my family and work. I don't even have time to see my friends, let alone be in a relationship. I've not been on vacation for so long that I've forgotten what it looks like, and I have no privacy at home at all. Oh, now let me tell you guys a secret that nobody knows. It's a bit sad, but it's nobody's fault. See, after working fully for about 2 years, I realized that I was not happy with the job I had. I wanted to do something else. I wanted to chase my dreams. I was even sure that I could easily sustain myself and my parents and maybe even one of my sisters while doing so, but I could not sustain them all. That would take years, but when I asked my parents to work a bit more, they just outright refused to do so. I didn't even make the mistake of telling them that I wanted to quit my job, as that would have ended in an absolute disaster, and I mean disaster. I just requested that they work normal jobs instead of part-time ones and help me as I needed it. But no matter how many times I asked them, they just kept refusing. And after that, I had to give up on my dreams as it was just not plausible. Now, I was okay with it. Not everybody gets to live out their dreams, and I made my peace with it. I have a responsibility, and I was going to do everything I could to make my family happy. Throughout the years, I tried asking my parents to shoulder a bit of responsibility from time to time, but they flat out refused. I never got to save any money for myself, and I never got to do anything fun. I thought I was okay with it, but several months ago I started thinking, what if I moved out and lived not very far but in a different place? I didn't need a big place or even a good one. Any place would do for me. I'm very low maintenance, so it would be very easy for me to shift there. For a few months I started thinking about how much I would need for myself, and since I had started earning really well, I figured out a way to move out. I thought if nothing would change in their lives, then my parents would happily agree to let them move out. But I was very wrong in thinking that. I made sure that I had thought of everything before I went to them, and then last week I told them what I had been thinking. To be perfectly honest, I was already feeling a bit guilty about what I was telling them, because it essentially meant that I was not happily living with them. Something like that obviously feels bad to say to your family, especially your parents. But when I told them what I was planning, they acted like I had asked them to sell one of my sisters. They got extremely angry and asked me how I could even ask them this. I told them it was nothing serious. I was just moving out, and this would allow my siblings and them a bit more room, while giving me a lot more privacy to live and even work at night. I even explained that nothing else would change, but both of them started screaming at this point. They told me that I just wanted to abandon them after everything they did for me. They tried to emotionally manipulate me, and it worked. I couldn't upset them like that, no matter how much I begged. They didn't believe me and told me that I would find a girl or something and stop supporting them. They even told my sisters I was planning on running away, which made me really mad, because there was no reason for me to do this. After they gave such a negative reaction, I had already told them that I was rethinking the idea and would probably not move, but they had to keep hitting me with jabs. A few days ago, when I tried to calmly discuss it with Dad one last time, he called me ungrateful and it made me angry. I then told him that I had done a lot for this family, and I will continue to do so, but not if he kept treating me like this. So, in a fit of rage, I told him that I was going to leave anyways, but if he and Mom kept acting like this, I would cut them off. This made them so mad that they had not spoken to me since. I feel really bad and I don't know what to do. So I thought I should ask you guys. What should I do now? Should I just give up and accept that I was never even going to have a life? Or do I keep trying? Update number 1. Hey guys, it's been about 2 weeks since my first post, and firstly, I want to thank each and every one of you who took your time to read the entire story and give me some advice. No matter if you spoke positively or negatively about my situation, I want to thank you for your input. I also have to clear a few things up. A lot of you told me if my parents don't treat me well, which is the bare minimum, I should not listen to them. I understand this, but the thing is, they have never been loving parents to me ever. So I've never expected them to do something like that. All I wanted was a little love and respect. And for the people asking me, I do not find it a burden to help my family. I love them no matter how they treat me or see me. And yes, I do wish sometimes my parents and siblings would be as understanding as my youngest sister. But I've never been mad at the fact that they're my responsibility. I wanted to move out for my own selfish reasons, not because I hate being around them. What made me angry was the fact that my own parents did not even consider for a second if they should agree to something that made me happy. I understand that they were trying to protect themselves and my sisters, but the fact that they could not even trust me enough to consider my options made me really mad. I had not asked them to treat me like my sisters. I'd only asked them to consider letting me live my life a bit more freely, and you know what happened after that? Also, for those asking, yes, I've tried to get Molly, my oldest sister, to work and take care of a small portion of her bills, because she spends the most time and has started college. I wanted her to be able to support herself, even if it's just a small amount. But she's outright refusing, and when she complained to our parents, they asked me to never try to make her work again. It was surprising because at her age, I probably had 3 part-time jobs. But the thing is, I had to, whereas she does not have an option. So, after an argument, I decided that she did not need to work. Now, coming to what happened after I posted the story. Even a few days after my post, they were continuing with the silent treatment. I didn't know what to do. Talking to my sisters only made me feel more guilty as they kept asking why I wanted to leave them. Molly even went and called me selfish and told me that if I wanted to leave so badly I could, and they would arrange to manage. Seeing her look at me with so much anger, it broke my heart. Liz is the only one who asked me what happened and why our parents told her what they told her. I explained to her, and she told me that even though she preferred me staying close to her, if I wanted to go, she was happy for me. I almost cried when she said all of this. She then asked me what I had decided, and I told her I had not come up with a decision right now. She told me she was with me no matter what I wanted to do. At this point, I wished more than ever that other people in the family could be like her. But making them like her would only make Liz less special, so maybe not. Then something really surprising happened. Well, it was surprising for a few hours. Get ready for this. At this point, I had decided that I was going to tell my parents that I was not leaving for now. But out of nowhere, a few days ago, they spoke to me themselves and told me that they had some good news. Then Mom told me that she was pregnant again and I was going to get another sibling in about 9 months. This surprised me for a while because I thought Mom could not get pregnant anymore. No joke, my parents have probably some of the best reproductive DNA in the country. Immediately, I was very, very happy and congratulated them and hugged them, and honestly, I forgot everything that was going on and was just happy I was going to get another brother or a sister. I did make a joke that they were trying to overpopulate the US by themselves. They laughed. They then, with full scrutiny, tell me that they could not raise this child or the other siblings without me. And I told them, well, I was going nowhere. At this point, how could I? So I changed my decision, and I'm not moving anyways for at least a few more years. My family needs me right now, and the needs of the family outweigh the needs of me. At least for me. I'm happy with this decision, and lastly, I want to thank you guys as this is the most likely my last post, so cheers! Update number 2. Hey guys, it's been over a month since my last update, which was supposed to be my last post. I myself thought so, but it turns out my parents had a different idea. Last time I was unaware of the actual truth, and by mistake or by luck, I've learned about it now, and it's broken my heart. I don't know what to do or who to tell this to, so I came here and let me just tell you what happened. So after my last update, things were going quite well because I believe that we were going to get another sibling. My parents asked me to keep this news a secret from everyone for a few months, and I was not even allowed to tell my sisters, which was really tough. But I was very happy and excited for them. After a week, Dad started asking me for money to visit a doctor for a checkup for Mom because of her age. The pregnancy was risky. He told me they had to go every week, so I gave them enough money to last for 4 weeks. They went for 3 weeks, and whenever I asked what happened, Dad would tell me only vague things and mention things that were going well and Mom was healthy. Well, after about 2 weeks, I started noticing that something was a bit weird about all of this. But I did not exactly have any single clue what it was. I just told myself I was overthinking it. Up until a few days ago, my parents never once told me anything and pretended that everything was all right and they were regularly visiting the doctor that they had mentioned. Then a few days ago, I was at home because it was the weekend, but my parents refused to go with me to the doctor and went by themselves. An hour later, one of my colleagues and friends called me and asked me if I was close to his place with my parents. I told him I wasn't there, and so my parents weren't, but they took a picture and showed me my parents having a nice time at a nice restaurant. Since that place was the opposite way to the hospital they had told me about, I decided to check up and see for myself what was going on. I went to my friend's place first and confirmed that they were indeed sitting there. When I called, Dad said that the checkup was going on and they were very busy. So I went to the hospital and found the doctor that they mentioned, but when I asked her about my mother, she tells me that she had never even heard of her. Also, I saw my mom drinking wine during lunch. I think at this point you guys have already guessed what I'm about to say. Mom's not pregnant, duh. And my parents lied to me, believing that it was going to trap me and force me to live with them, and it worked. But I've decided to stay with them for a while anyways. But now I'm not really sure. After that, I came back home, but have not confronted my parents about the lie. I did talk to them and asked them about the visit, and they tried to, their best to lie. I could not believe that they would do this to me after everything I've done for them. Honestly, I would even understand them doing this if I decided to leave them and not pay for anything. But I only wanted to move out and nothing else. I would have never changed no matter what happened. Family is very important to me, but the thing they ended up doing to ensure that I don't change is probably going to be the reason that I do. I've not decided yet, but I do not think I can live here anymore. My parents have proved that they don't care about me and only care about the support that I provide. They only care about the financial stability I bring and nothing else. Even my siblings don't really care and would support them if they found out the truth. Maybe except for Liz. What should I do now? Update number 3. Hey guys, it's been a few months and this will be my final update. How do I know? Well, you'll understand when you finish reading this, won't you? Firstly, let me start this by telling you about the biggest surprise I've ever gotten in my life. If you remember my last update, I was struggling to make a decision even after my parents had tried to lie and trick me into staying. A few days later, while I had still not made a decision, a woman contacted me claiming to be my aunt. She introduced herself as Rose and told me that she was the sister of my dad. I told her it's impossible, because we didn't have any relatives on my dad's side. But she accurately told me everything about my parents and where they came from. This told me that she was a person who knew something, as she said she wanted to meet me and tell me something, so I agreed to see it. Honestly, I would have agreed even if she had not proved herself, and I wanted to distract my brain for a few hours. So we met. She did look like she and Dad were related. She told me that she married and moved out of the country and rarely gets to come here. The last time she came, I was in college, and my parents refused to let me see her, fearing that she was going to tell me the truth, and before that, I was just too young. So naturally, I asked what truth. She told me before that I needed to tell her about my current condition. I decided to trust her and told her everything that was going on. Only after she showed me a photo of her with my father and her carrying me when I was a kid. She shed a tear after I finished telling her everything and apologized for not even being there for me. She then explained that the people who raised me were not my parents. My biological parents were now my dad's older brother and his sister-in-law, Aunt Rose. Aunt Rose was the youngest of the three of them. She told me that Dad and Mom took me in after my parents passed away when I was very, very young. My real parents had left me quite a bit of money, so my now parents took me in to use it. My aunt was too young to do anything, and after she realized that they had actually planned on using me and not raising me with love and care, she tried to tell me the truth but never could. Even now, luck was in her favor as she had discovered where I worked and got my number from a colleague. After explaining everything, she apologized once more and left it to me to do whatever I felt was right. She didn't want to choose, for me. She then left and she had other businesses to attend to and promised to come back the next year just to stay a while. I thanked her and told her that she better visit. And, then she left. I didn't show in front of Aunt Rose, but I was angry. Not only was I lied to and used, but my parents could have just explained everything from the start. That was at least, what I could have asked for, and I would have never expected anything from them, although I may not have put in so much effort either. So maybe they were right to do what they did. I don't know. But finding this out on top of what my parents did just proved to me that they were incapable of loving me. So I made an immediate decision. I was done with their games and their lies. I was done helping them have this easy life. I went home and spoke to Liz, and I did not lie. I told her from now on I would get to see her as much, but I would try, and I would always support her, and after she became an adult, she could just come move with me. She told me to do what my heart wanted. I packed my bags, at which point my parents noticed what I was doing, and they asked me what's going on. And I, in front of all of my siblings, told them everything I had learned from the fake pregnancy to the adoption. My parents were left speechless, and I told them that I was done with them. I really felt bad. I did. But I also told my siblings that I was done looking after them too, and only told Liz that I was always going to stand behind her. Then I left, as my parents started saying that they could go and explain absolutely everything. I then cut them off and moved with a friend for a week until I finally found a good place I can call my own. It's been a few months now, and I'm kind of happy. I pay for everything Liz needs directly, and my parents have gotten multiple jobs and work very, very hard. Even Molly has a job now, can you believe that? Throughout the last few months, my parents have constantly begged me for financial assistance. And one day, even Molly came with them, but I did not listen to them, and I will never give in to their manipulation now. I'm done. I feel bad, but I'm not going to do anything about that. Thank you for helping me get through this. I'm going to focus on my own life now. What's up, guys? What a crazy story. I do want to check out this one comment that got a lot of attention. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. It's from Manuscript. It says, what difference does it make? If they're your biological parents or not, they still cared about you and raised you. They gave you everything, and this does not excuse the fact that you abandoned them and your siblings. You always wanted them to be cut off, and this just gave you a reason to. Please stop acting like this was hard. You really are a bad person, almost as horrible as the people who raised you. Yes, they made a mistake, but you could have just moved while still supporting them. Karma will get you back, OP. Remember what I've told you.